The lecture hall was massive. It had to be. Students from 40 different worlds sat in rows that curved upward like the inside of a bowl. Some students had forearms, others had scales or feathers. A few floated in special gravity tanks. In the third row, between a crystalline being and a creature that looked like a walking tree, sat Jiwoo. Jiwoo looked human because she was human. She had dark hair tied back in a simple ponytail and wore the standard academy uniform. Her brown eyes watched the holographic display at the front of the hall. To everyone else in the room, she looked small, weak, harmless. Instructor Vector stood at the front. He was tall, nearly 3 meters, with purple skin and 6 eyes arranged in 2 rows. His voice boomed across the hall without needing speakers. "Today we discuss extinct apex predators," Vector said. The hologram shifted to show a creature with massive teeth and claws. "This is the Raxthor from the planet Kelvin 9. It stood 4 meters tall and could tear through solid metal. It dominated its world for 10 million years. Students took notes. Some whispered to each other. Jiwoo just listened. "The Raxthor went extinct 2,000 years ago," Vector continued. "Climate change. Lack of prey. The usual reasons." He waved his hand and the hologram changed. "But there is one planet that had more apex predators than any other world we have discovered." The hologram showed a blue and green planet. Jiwoo recognized it immediately. Earth. This planet, called Earth by its inhabitants, was a death world, Vector said. The term made several students shift nervously. Death world. A planet so dangerous that most species would die there within days. The gravity was high. The atmosphere was filled with a highly reactive gas called oxygen. The temperature swung wildly between extremes. And the predators. The hologram changed rapidly. A massive shark with rows of teeth. A striped cat with fangs as long as knives. A huge bear standing on its back legs. A pack of wolves with yellow eyes. An enormous crocodile. A snake that could swallow prey whole. These creatures, Vector said, gesturing to the images, were among hundreds of apex predators on this single world. Earth had more ways to kill you than any planet in the known galaxy. And yet a species evolved there. A weak species with no claws, no fangs, no venom, no armor. They were small, slow. They should have died out in the first generation. Jiwoo's jaw tightened slightly. She kept her face neutral. But somehow this weak species survived, Vector continued. More than survived. They conquered their entire planet. They eliminated or dominated every single apex predator that had terrorized them for millions of years. And then quite suddenly those predators began to vanish. The dangerous species of Earth went extinct one by one. Today, Earth is a peaceful world. The deadliest species are gone. Jiwoo raised her hand. Vector's 6 eyes focused on her. "Yes, the human student." "You have a question?" "Not a question, sir," Jiwoo said. Her voice was calm and clear. "A correction." The room went quiet. Several students turned to look at her. It was rare for anyone to correct Instructor Vector. He was one of the most respected xenobiology teachers in the entire Galactic Federation. "A correction?" Vector's tone was curious, not angry. "Please enlighten us." Jiwoo stood up. She was short compared to most beings in the room, barely over 1.5 meters tall. She looked up at the hologram of Earth. "You said the deadliest species of Earth are gone," she said. "That's not true. They're still there. In fact, there are billions of them." Vector's eyes narrowed. "I assure you, young one, my research is thorough. The great predators of Earth have been extinct for centuries, some for millennia. The dire wolves, the cave bears, the giant cats with the long fangs. Saber-toothed cats," Jiwoo said. "Yes, those are extinct. But they weren't the deadliest species on Earth." "Then what was?" Vector asked. Jiwoo pointed at herself. "We were. Humans. We still are." A ripple of confusion spread through the lecture hall. A student with tentacles made a sound like laughter. The crystalline being next to Jiwoo chimed softly, which was its version of a chuckle. "Humans?" Vector said. He looked at Jiwoo the way one might look at a small harmless pet. "Forgive me, but humans are not apex predators. You have no natural weapons. Your species joined the Federation as refugees, fleeing a planet you had nearly destroyed through your own carelessness. You are builders, yes, thinkers, but predators, no." "With respect, sir," Jiwoo said, and her voice carried a weight that made several students stop laughing. "You should ask yourself a question. If humans are so weak and harmless, how did we nearly destroy our own planet? And how did we make all those other apex predators disappear?" Vector was silent for a moment. His 6 eyes studied Jiwoo with new interest. You're saying humans eliminated the apex predators of Earth? I'm saying we were the apex predators of Earth, Jiwoo replied. Everything else was just prey, or competition. The lecture hall was completely silent now. Even the floating students in their gravity tanks had stopped moving. Vector crossed his forearms. That is quite a claim. Can you support it with evidence? I can, Jiwoo said. Would you like me to explain how humans became the deadliest species on the most dangerous planet in the galaxy? Vector gestured to the front of the room. Please come down and share your perspective. I am always interested in learning new things. Jiwoo walked down the steps to the front of the lecture hall. As she passed other students, she noticed them watching her differently now. Not with dismissal or amusement. With uncertainty, maybe even a hint of concern. She reached the instructor's platform and turned to face the class. Hundreds of eyes in dozens of different configurations stared at her. Let me tell you about humans, Jiwoo said. Let me tell you about Earth's real apex predator. And why you should be very glad that we decided to be nice. Jiwoo stood at the front of the lecture hall. The hologram display waited behind her, ready to show whatever she needed. Instructor Vector had stepped to the side, his 6 eyes watching with interest. The students watched too. Some still looked amused. Others looked curious. None of them looked afraid yet. That would change. Humans don't look dangerous, Jiwoo began. We don't have claws or fangs. We're not very fast. An average human can run maybe 30 kilometers per hour for a short distance. Most predators on Earth could run twice that speed. Some could run 3 times as fast. A student with blue fur raised a paw. Then how did humans hunt? You said you were predators. We didn't need to be fast, Jiwoo said. We just needed to be patient. Let me show you something. Computer display persistence hunting. The hologram changed. It showed a human man, bare-chested and dark-skinned, running across a golden grassland. In the distance, an antelope bounded away with incredible speed. That animal is called a kudu, Jiwoo explained. It can run 60 kilometers per hour. The human can only run about 15. Watch what happens. The hologram played at increased speed. The kudu ran until it was far ahead. Then it stopped, panting. The human kept coming. Not fast, just steady. The kudu saw the human approach and ran again. Again, it left the human far behind. Again, it stopped to rest. This happened again and again. The kudu ran. The human followed. The kudu rested. The human kept coming. After what the display showed was 4 hours, the kudu couldn't run anymore. It stood on shaking legs, its sides heaving. The human walked up to it and killed it with a simple spear. Humans can run for hours without stopping, Jiwoo said. Not fast. But we don't stop. Most animals sprint. They use all their energy at once, then rest. Humans don't work that way. We have a special cooling system. We sweat. We release water through our skin and it cools us down. We can run in the hot sun all day. Most predators would die from heat after an hour. She changed the hologram. Now it showed a human woman running. The display showed her body temperature, heart rate, and energy use. Human bodies are built for endurance, Jiwoo continued. Our hearts pump blood efficiently. Our legs have special springs in the tendons. Our brains release chemicals that reduce pain. We can chase prey until it literally dies of exhaustion. We ran animals to death. For thousands of years, that was how we hunted. An insect-like student clicked its mandibles. But that is just one hunting method. Surely other species could do this too. Show me one, Jiwoo said. Show me any other species that can run for 8 hours straight in the heat. I'll wait. Silence. Humans also throw things, Jiwoo said. Computer, show throwing mechanics. The hologram displayed a human arm in detail. It rotated slowly, showing muscles and joints. Our shoulders can rotate almost completely around, Jiwoo said. Our arms work like whips. We can throw rocks, spears, anything we pick up with incredible accuracy and power. A trained human can throw a rock over 100 meters. We can hit a target the size of your head from 50 meters away, and we can do it while running. She gestured and the hologram showed ancient humans hunting. They surrounded a massive elephant-like creature and threw spears at it from all directions. No other species on Earth could do this, Jiwoo said. Throwing requires specific anatomy. The right shoulder joint, the right arm length, the right brain structure to calculate distance and speed. Humans evolved all of it. We killed the largest animals on our planet by standing far away and throwing sharp sticks at them. Another student spoke up. This one looked like a large slug with arms. But humans are fragile, yes? Thin skin, no armor. One bite from a predator and you die. You would think so, Jiwoo said. She smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. Computer, show human injury recovery. The hologram displayed medical scans of human bodies. Each one showed terrible injuries. This human had his leg bitten off by a shark, Jiwoo said, pointing to the first scan. He survived. This one was stabbed through the chest with a metal rod. She survived. This one fell off a cliff and broke 23 bones. He survived and walked again. This one had half her face torn off by a bear. She survived. The images kept changing. More injuries. More survivals. Humans are hard to kill, Jiwoo said quietly. We have a healing factor that most species don't have. Our blood clots quickly. Our immune system fights infection aggressively. Our bodies can survive damage that would kill most other beings. We've had our limbs cut off and lived. We've been poisoned, burned, frozen, crushed, and we keep living. Vector spoke up. Surely this is with modern medicine. Primitive humans couldn't survive such injuries. You're right, Jiwoo said. Primitive humans died from these injuries more often, but not always. We found human skeletons from thousands of years ago. Some had healed broken bones. Some had survived terrible wounds. One man lost his arm and lived for years afterward. We know because the bone healed over. This was before we had any medicine at all. Just a species that refused to die. She changed the hologram again. Now it showed different environments. Frozen wastelands, burning deserts, thick jungles, high mountains. Humans lived in all of these places, Jiwoo said. Every climate zone on Earth. We survived in places where the temperature dropped to 50 degrees below freezing. We survived in deserts where water was almost impossible to find. We climbed mountains so high that there wasn't enough oxygen to breathe. We swam in oceans filled with creatures that could swallow us whole. We made tools and clothes and shelter, and we lived everywhere, everywhere. A student made a nervous sound. But why? Why spread to such dangerous places? Because we could, Jiwoo said simply. Because if land existed, we wanted to walk on it. If water existed, we wanted to cross it. If a mountain existed, we wanted to climb it. Humans don't stop. That's what you need to understand. We don't stop. Another human student stood up. It was Taemin, sitting several rows back. He was taller than Jiwoo, with broad shoulders and a serious face. May I add something? He asked. Jiwoo nodded. Please. Taemin walked down to join her. He looked at the assembled students. Jiwoo is being modest, he said. She's telling you about ancient humans. Primitive humans. But modern humans are worse. We do these things for fun now. Fun? Vector asked. We climb mountains that can kill us just to say we did it, Taemin said. We swim in frozen water. We run marathons, which are races that cover 42 kilometers. We dive deep into the ocean where the pressure should crush us. We jump out of aircraft for entertainment. We do all the things that almost killed our ancestors, but now we do them as sports. As hobbies, he pulled up his sleeve. A long scar ran down his forearm. I got this climbing a cliff, he said. I fell, broke my arm, I healed. And 3 months later, I went back and climbed that cliff again, because it was there, because I wanted to. The student stared at him. That's what humans do, Taemin said. We find the most dangerous thing we can and we do it anyway. Not because we have to, because we want to. Because something in our brains tells us that danger is exciting, that challenge is good, that the harder something is, the more worth doing it becomes. Jiwoo nodded. Humans conquered Earth not because we were the strongest or the fastest. We conquered it because we never gave up. We chased prey until they couldn't run. We survived injuries that should have killed us. We lived in places nothing else could live. We turned hunting into a science and danger into a sport. She looked directly at Vector. So when you say the deadliest species on Earth is gone, she said, you're wrong. We're still here. We just learned to use our abilities for other things. But make no mistake, Instructor, humans are apex predators. We always have been. We always will be. Instructor Vector moved back to the center of the platform. His expression was thoughtful. Around the lecture hall, students whispered to each other. The mood had changed. What started as a routine lesson had become something else entirely. You make compelling points, Vector said to Jiwoo and Taemin. But I must challenge you on biology. Yes, humans can run for long periods. Yes, you can throw objects. But these are learned behaviors, are they not? Skills that must be taught? Some of it is learned, Jiwoo admitted. But most of it is built into our bodies. We're designed to be predators. Let me show you, she gestured to the hologram. Computer display human eye structure. A massive image of a human eye appeared, rotating slowly. The iris, the pupil, the complex structure behind it. Human eyes face forward, Jiwoo said. Do you know what that means? A student with multiple eye stalks spoke up. Forward-facing eyes indicate a predator. Prey animals have eyes on the sides of their heads to watch for danger. Predators have eyes that face forward to track prey. Exactly, Jiwoo said. Humans have predator eyes. But we also have something special. We see colors better than almost any other species on Earth. We can tell the difference between hundreds of shades of green. This helped us spot fruit and trees, yes, but it also helped us track wounded prey. We could see a single drop of blood on green leaves. We could follow a blood trail for kilometers through the forest. She changed the display. Now it showed a human brain with different sections lighting up. The human brain uses 20% of our body's energy. Jiwoo continued. That's enormous. Most species use 5% or less. Our brains are expensive to run. They consume vast amounts of resources. Evolution doesn't keep expensive things unless they provide a benefit. So what did our huge brains give us? She pointed to different sections as they lit up. Pattern recognition. We see patterns in everything. We can track an animal by the pattern of broken branches. We can predict weather by the pattern of clouds. We can read body language and know what another creature is thinking. We can look at stars and find patterns that help us navigate. This ability made us incredible hunters. Another section of the brain lit up. Tool use. Humans don't just use tools. We make them. Complex tools. We took rocks and shaped them into knives. We took wood and turned it into spears. We took plants and made rope, baskets, nets. We took bone and carved it into needles to sew clothes. No other species on Earth did this at our level. Some animals use simple tools, yes. But humans made killing into an industry. Taemin stepped forward. Can I show them something? Jiwoo nodded. Taemin walked to an empty space on the platform. I need a volunteer. Someone big. Strong. After a moment, a large reptilian student stood. He was easily twice Taemin's size with thick scales and powerful muscles. What's your name? Taemin asked. Kroth, the student said in a deep voice. Kroth, I want you to grab my arm, Taemin said, holding out his right arm. Grab it tight. Try to hold me in place. Kroth looked confused but did as asked. His large hand wrapped completely around Taemin's forearm. He squeezed. Tighter, Taemin said. Don't worry. You won't hurt me. Kroth squeezed harder. His muscles tensed. Taemin's face remained calm. Good, Taemin said. Now I'm going to escape. I won't tell you how. Just watch. What happened next took less than 2 seconds. Taemin twisted his arm in a way that looked impossible. His hand went one direction. His elbow went another, and suddenly he wasn't in Kroth's grip anymore. Before Kroth could react, Taemin had grabbed the large student's arm, twisted it, and swept Kroth's legs out from under him. Kroth hit the floor with a heavy thud. The lecture hall went silent. Taemin helped Kroth up. Sorry about that. You okay? Kroth nodded, looking stunned. He returned to his seat, moving carefully. That's called leverage, Taemin explained. Humans understand how bodies move. We know where joints bend, where tendons attach, where pressure points cause pain. We've studied this for thousands of years. We can take down opponents much larger than us because we understand physics and biology. We turn the enemy's strength against them. Another human student stood up. This one was a young woman named Hyejin. She had sharp features and quick movements. May I demonstrate something else? She asked. Jiwoo smiled. Come on down. Hyejin walked to the platform. She looked at the assembled students. Humans have a stress response, she said. When we're in danger, our bodies change. Chemicals flood our bloodstream. Adrenaline, cortisol, others. These chemicals make us faster, stronger, and more resistant to pain. Computers show human stress response. The hologram displayed a human body with the circulatory system visible. Then it showed what happened when adrenaline entered the blood. Heart rate increases, Hyejin said. Blood flow to muscles increases. Pupils dilate to see better. Hearing becomes sharper. Time seems to slow down because our brains speed up. Pain signals are suppressed, and we get temporary strength that we normally can't access. Temporary strength? Vector asked. Humans are normally limited by our nervous system, Hyejin explained. Our muscles could tear themselves off our bones if we used full strength. So our brains limit us. They keep us at about 60% capacity during normal activity. But during stress, those limits disappear. We can use 100% of our strength. That's how a mother lifts a vehicle off her trapped child. That's how a person breaks down a locked door to escape a fire. Adrenaline removes our safety limits. She demonstrated by having a student place a thick metal bar between two stands. The bar was meant for a grip strength test. Under normal conditions, I can bend this bar a little bit, Heejin said. She gripped the bar and pulled. It bent slightly, maybe a few degrees. But if I was in danger, if something threatened my life, I could do this. She closed her eyes. Her breathing changed. When she opened her eyes again, something was different. Her pupils were larger. Her jaw was tight. She gripped the bar again and pulled. The bar bent. Not a little, a lot. It curved into a U shape. Students gasped. Heejin let go of the bar and stepped back. Her hands were shaking slightly. I'll feel that tomorrow, she said with a small laugh. Probably pulled something. But that's the point. Humans can damage ourselves to survive. Our bodies would rather injure us than let us die. We can keep fighting with broken bones. We can run on torn muscles. We can function with injuries that would incapacitate other species. Jiwoo took over again. There's something else you need to understand about humans. We don't just hunt. We domesticate. Domesticate? A student asked. We take other species and make them work for us, Jiwoo said. Computer show dog evolution. The hologram showed a wolf. Then it showed how that wolf changed over thousands of years. It became smaller, friendlier, less threatening. Eventually, it became a dog. Humans took wolves, which were competing predators, and turned them into our companions, Jiwoo said. We did this through selective breeding. We kept the wolves that were friendly. We let them have puppies. Over generations, we created an entirely new species. A species that loves us, that protects us, that helps us hunt. She changed the display. Now it showed cats, horses, cattle, pigs, chickens, and more. We did this with dozens of species, she continued. We domesticated predators to help us kill. We domesticated prey animals to be our food. We even domesticated plants, changing them to produce more food for us. We reshaped the biology of Earth to serve our needs. That's not something prey animals do. That's what apex predators do. Taemin added, and we did it without claws or fangs or venom. We did it with our brains. With patience. With the ability to plan across generations. A wolf couldn't plan what would happen in 100 years. Humans could. We still can. Vector was quiet for a long moment. His 6 eyes moved from one human to another. You've given me much to think about, he said finally. I may need to revise my lecture materials. There's more, Jiwoo said quietly. We haven't talked about the really dangerous part of humans yet. More dangerous than what you've shown? Vector asked. Much more dangerous, Jiwoo said. What we've shown you is how humans hunt. How we survive. How our bodies work. But none of that is what made us the deadliest species on Earth. She looked out at the students. Every eye in the room was on her. The deadliest thing about humans, she said, is what we do to each other. Would you like to hear about human warfare? The silence in the room was absolute. Even the floating students in their gravity tanks had stopped moving. Yes, Vector said slowly. I think we would. A different human student stood up. His name was Dong-hyun. He was older than the others, with gray at his temples and a serious face. He walked down to the platform slowly, like someone carrying a heavy weight. I didn't want to talk about this, Dong-hyun said. Most humans don't like talking about our history of violence, but if you want to understand why we're dangerous, you need to know. He gestured to the hologram. Computer, show human warfare timeline. The display changed. It showed a timeline stretching back thousands of years. Every few centimeters there was a red mark. There were thousands of red marks. Tens of thousands. Each red mark is a war, Dong-hyun said quietly. A conflict where humans killed other humans. This timeline only shows major wars. If we included every battle, every raid, every fight between tribes and clans and nations, the entire timeline would be solid red. He zoomed in on a section. Humans have been at war for our entire recorded history. We fought with rocks and sticks, then with bronze and iron, then with gunpowder and explosives, then with machines, then with nuclear weapons that could end all life on Earth. Why? A student asked. The question was almost a whisper. Why fight each other? Resources, territory, religion, pride, revenge, fear, Dong-hyun listed. Sometimes we fought for good reasons, to defend ourselves, to protect others. Sometimes we fought for terrible reasons, because we wanted what others had. Because we thought we were better than them. Because we were afraid of those who were different. He changed the display. It showed weapons. Thousands of different weapons from across human history. We created weapons before we created art, Dong-hyun said. We invented new ways to kill faster than we invented new ways to heal. Look at these. The weapons scrolled past. Spears, swords, bows and arrows, crossbows, guns, cannons, bombs, missiles, each one more efficient than the last. We didn't just make weapons, Dong-hyun continued. We studied killing. We made it a science. We learned exactly where to stab someone to reach their heart. We learned how much poison would kill but not kill too quickly. We learned how to make diseases worse and spread them to our enemies. We learned how to burn cities, how to sink ships, how to make buildings collapse. We made killing into an art form. Vector's voice was strained. But surely this was in the past, ancient history. The last major human war ended 70 years ago, Dong-hyun said. Just 70 years. That's nothing. That's within my grandfather's lifetime. And smaller wars continued until we joined the Federation. Even now, even with all of us living together in peace with alien species, there are humans who train for combat. Just in case. He pulled up an image of a massive explosion, a mushroom cloud rising into the sky. This is a nuclear weapon, Dong-hyun said. One bomb. It destroyed an entire city, killed over 100,000 people instantly, made the land poisonous for decades, and humans built thousands of these. We pointed them at each other. We came very close to using them all at once, which would have ended all life on Earth. We stood on the edge of making our own planet uninhabitable, and we did it because we were afraid of other humans. The lecture hall was utterly silent. But here's what you really need to understand, Dong-hyun said. We didn't do this because we were monsters. We did it because we were afraid. Because we loved our families and wanted to protect them. Because we had been hurt and wanted to prevent it from happening again. Humans are dangerous not because we're cruel. We're dangerous because we care so much that we'll destroy anything that threatens what we love. Another human student raised her hand. Her name was Subin. She was small, with kind eyes and a gentle voice. Can I show them the other side? Subin asked. Dong-hyun nodded and stepped aside. Subin walked to the platform. Everything Dong-hyun said is true, Subin began. Humans have a terrible history of violence. But there's something else about us. Something that makes us different from any other predator in the galaxy. We pack bond. Pack bond? Vector asked. We form emotional connections, Subin explained. Strong ones. With other humans, yes. But also with anything else. Computer, show human-animal relationships. The hologram displayed images of humans with animals. A woman hugging a dog. A man with a cat sleeping on his chest. A child feeding a horse. An elderly person with a bird on their shoulder. We don't just domesticate animals, Subin said. We love them. We bring them into our homes. We feed them. We play with them. We cry when they die. That dog in the image? Humans evolved it from wolves, yes. But now, humans love dogs more than almost anything. Many humans say their dog is their best friend. Their family member. She changed the display. Now it showed stranger images. A human cuddling with a large bear. Another swimming with sharks. One sitting peacefully while a wild bird landed on their hand. We pack bond with everything, Subin said, even dangerous animals. Even animals that could kill us. There are humans who adopt wolves, who keep tigers as companions, who befriend wild animals that any sensible person would fear. We can't help it. Something in our brains makes us want to connect with other living things. She smiled softly. We pack bond with aliens, too. Every human in this academy has made friends with non-human students. We don't see you as aliens. We see you as people, as potential friends. That's what humans do. We connect. A student spoke up. But how can you be both? How can humans be violent warriors and also loving friends? Because both are part of protecting what we love, Subin said. We fight to protect our pack, our family, our friends. When we care about something, we'll do anything for it. Anything. We'll die for it. We'll kill for it. The same instinct that makes us hug our children makes us destroy anyone who threatens them. Taemin spoke up from where he stood. There's a human saying, "I would burn the world to keep my family warm." That's what Subin means. Our capacity for love and our capacity for violence come from the same place. They're two sides of the same coin. Subin nodded. And we don't just pack bond with living things. Computer, show human attachment to objects. The hologram displayed various objects: a worn teddy bear, an old car, a childhood blanket, a rusty tool. Humans form emotional attachments to objects, Subin said. We keep things because they remind us of people we loved. We fix broken items, instead of replacing them because they have sentimental value. We name our vehicles, our tools, our weapons. We treat objects like they have feelings. She laughed softly. There are humans who apologize to furniture when they bump into it, who say good morning to their car, who feel sad throwing away an old shirt. We can't help it. We're wired to form connections with everything around us. Jiwoo stepped forward again. This is important to understand. Humans conquered Earth not just because we're effective predators. We did it because we cooperate. We form groups, we trust each other, we share resources, we teach our children, we take care of our elderly, we help strangers. No lone human could hunt a mammoth, but a group of humans working together could. She gestured around the room. Every achievement of humanity came from cooperation. We built cities together. We developed language to communicate complex ideas. We created art and music and stories that we shared with each other. We accumulated knowledge across generations, each generation teaching the next. A wolf is born knowing how to be a wolf. A human has to be taught how to be human. And we teach each other everything. Dong-hyun spoke again. That's why human warfare was so terrible. Because we're smart enough to create devastating weapons. But we're also loyal enough to use them against anyone who threatens our group. We're pack animals. We're loyal to our pack above all else. And anyone outside the pack becomes an enemy. But we learned, Subin added quickly. Slowly, over thousands of years, humans expanded their definition of pack. First it was just family, then tribe, then village, then city, then nation. Eventually we decided all humans were part of the same pack. That's when the major wars ended, when we saw each other as one species instead of competing groups. She looked at the alien students, and now we're here, in the Galactic Federation, learning to expand our pack even further, to include all sentient beings, to see you not as aliens, but as people, as potential friends, as part of our pack. Vector was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was thoughtful. So humans are predators who chose cooperation over competition, warriors who chose peace, killers who chose kindness. Yes, Jiwoo said, but the predator is still there. The warrior is still there. The killer is still there. We just chose not to be those things anymore. We chose to be better. But if something threatened our pack, if something threatened the people we care about, all of those old instincts would come back. She met Vector's eyes. That's what makes humans truly dangerous. Not our physical abilities, not our weapons, not our intelligence. It's that we have all of those things, and we chose to restrain them. We're the monster that decided to be gentle. But monsters don't forget how to be monstrous. They just choose not to be. The lecture hall remained silent. Every student from every world sat processing what they had just learned. The floating students in their gravity tanks hung motionless. The insectoid students had stopped their constant clicking. Even the plant-like being in the corner seemed to have stilled its rustling leaves. Instructor Vector stood at the center of the platform. His 6 eyes moved from one human student to another. Finally he spoke. "I owe you an apology," he said. His voice carried through the hall. "I have taught xenobiology for 30 years. I believed I understood the species of the galaxy. But I was wrong about humans. Profoundly wrong." He turned to face the entire class. "I told you that Earth's deadliest species were gone. I was looking at the wrong species. I saw the claws and fangs and venom of Earth's predators and assumed they were the danger. I didn't see the real apex predator because it doesn't look like one. Jiwoo remained at the front of the room. The other human students had returned to their seats, but she stayed, waiting. You asked what happened to humanity, Jiwoo said to Vector. Why we joined the Federation as refugees instead of conquerors. Would you like to know? Very much, Vector replied. Jiwoo took a breath. Humans reached a point in our development where we had two choices. We could continue fighting each other, which would eventually lead to our extinction, or we could choose peace, choose cooperation, choose to see all of humanity as one pack instead of competing groups. She walked slowly across the platform. It wasn't easy. Some humans didn't want peace. Some held onto old hatreds, old fears, old ideas of us versus them. But enough humans chose differently. Enough humans said no more war. Enough humans said we're better than this. And slowly, over decades, humanity changed. When we discovered we weren't alone in the universe, Jiwoo continued, when the Federation made first contact with Earth, we had another choice. We could see you as threats, as competition, as prey. Our instincts told us to be afraid, to be defensive, to prepare for conflict. She smiled. But we chose differently. We chose to extend our pack bond to include all sentient beings. We chose to see the Federation not as invaders, but as potential friends, as teachers, as partners. We chose to join the galactic community as equals, not conquerors. A student raised a tentacle. But you said humans nearly destroyed Earth, that you came as refugees. We did damage Earth, Jiwoo admitted. Through pollution, through overconsumption, through carelessness. We were so focused on competing with each other that we forgot to take care of our world. By the time we stopped fighting long enough to notice, we had done serious harm. She looked sad for a moment. That's another reason we joined the Federation. We needed help fixing what we had broken. We needed technology we didn't have yet. We needed knowledge of how other species maintained their worlds. We came asking for help and the Federation gave it. That generosity is something we won't forget. Vector nodded slowly. And now humans are some of our most valuable members. You serve in every role. Scientists, engineers, diplomats, teachers, artists. You contribute to the Federation in countless ways. Because we want to, Jiwoo said. Because being part of something larger than ourselves gives us purpose. Because helping others satisfies the same instinct that once made us hunt together. We're still pack animals. The Federation is just a much larger pack. Another student spoke up. This one was reptilian with intelligent eyes. But what if someone threatened the Federation? What if war came? Would humans fight? The question hung in the air. All eyes turned to Jiwoo. Yes, she said simply. If the Federation was threatened, humans would fight. We would fight hard. We would use every bit of strategy and ferocity and endurance that we evolved over millions of years. Because the Federation is our pack now, and humans protect their pack, she paused. But we would try every other option first. Diplomacy, negotiation, compromise. Peace is always the first choice. Violence is the last resort. That's what we learned from our own history. That's the lesson that cost us millions of lives to learn. Taemin stood up again. Can I add something? Jiwoo nodded. Taemin walked down to the platform. There's something else you should know about humans. We learn, we adapt, we change. No other species on Earth did this as well as we did. We went from throwing rocks to flying to the moon in just 10,000 years. That's nothing. That's a blink in evolutionary time. He gestured to the timeline still showing on the hologram. Every generation of humans was smarter than the last. Not because our brains got bigger. Because we accumulated knowledge. We built on what came before. We made mistakes and learned from them. We failed and tried again. We never stopped improving. That's what humans are still doing, Taemin continued. Learning, growing, becoming better than we were. 1,000 years ago, humans would kill someone for being different. 500 years ago, we would enslave other humans. 100 years ago, we would discriminate based on skin color or gender. We did terrible things, but we learned. We changed. We became better. Subin stood up as well. She walked down to join the others. And we're still learning, she said. Living with alien species is teaching us new things every day. Different ways of thinking, different values, different solutions to problems. Every species in the Federation has something to teach us, and hopefully we have something to teach you. She looked at the assembled students. Today you learned that humans are dangerous. That's true, but I hope you also learned that humans chose to be kind. That we chose peace over violence. That we chose cooperation over competition. That we chose love over hate. The most dangerous predator, Subin said softly, is one that chooses mercy, because it means we understand violence. We know what we're capable of. We know how much damage we could do. And we choose not to. Every single day we choose not to. That choice is harder than you might think, but it's a choice we keep making. Dong-hyun spoke from his seat. Someone once asked a human general, "What makes you think humans are peaceful?" The general answered, "We're not peaceful. We're extremely violent. We just choose to direct that violence toward protecting others instead of hurting them. There's a difference between a species that can't fight and a species that won't fight." Jiwoo nodded. Humans won't fight. Not unless we have to. Not unless there's no other choice. Not unless someone threatens what we love. But if that happens, if violence becomes necessary, then yes. We remember how. We still have all those instincts. All that history. All that knowledge of how to hunt and kill and destroy. She smiled, and it was a sad smile. We're the deadliest species from the deadliest planet in the galaxy. We conquered our world not with claws or fangs, but with intelligence and endurance and cooperation. We nearly destroyed ourselves because we were too good at violence. But we stopped. We chose to be better. That's what you need to understand. Not that humans are dangerous, but that we know we're dangerous and we chose to be gentle anyway. Vector was quiet for a long moment. Then he turned to address the entire class. "I have been teaching xenobiology for 3 decades, he said. I thought I had seen every kind of species. Predators and prey, symbiotes and parasites, social creatures and solitary hunters. But I have never encountered anything quite like humans." He looked at Jiwoo. "You are predators who became friends. Warriors who chose peace. Killers who chose kindness. You are the most dangerous species in the Federation. Not because of what you do, but because of what you choose not to do." "Thank you," Jiwoo said quietly, "for listening. For being willing to learn. That's all we ask. Don't underestimate us. Don't think we're weak, but also don't fear us. We're on your side. We're part of your pack now, and humans take care of their pack." She walked back to her seat. The other human students watched her pass. When she sat down, the crystalline being next to her made a soft chiming sound. "That was terrifying," the being said, "and also beautiful." "You humans are very strange," Jiwoo laughed. "We know. We're still trying to figure ourselves out." Vector cleared his throat. "Well, I believe we have covered enough material for today. In fact, we may need several more sessions to properly discuss human evolution and its implications for xenobiology. But for now, let me say this." He looked around at all the students. "Every species has strengths. Every species has survived by adapting to their world. But humans adapted to every environment. They turned their weaknesses into strengths. They learned to cooperate when their instincts told them to compete. They chose to be kind when being cruel would have been easier. That," Vector said, "is perhaps the most important lesson of xenobiology. Evolution is not about being the strongest or the fastest or the most deadly. It's about making choices that help you survive, and sometimes the choice to be merciful is the strongest choice of all." The class was dismissed. Students filed out slowly, many of them casting glances at the human students. Some looked afraid. Some looked curious. Some looked respectful. Jiwoo gathered her things. Taemin, Hyejin, Donghyun, and Subin came over to her. "That was intense," Hyejin said. "They needed to know," Jiwoo replied. "Better they learn from us than from a history database." "Do you think we scared them?" Subin asked, looking worried. "Maybe a little," Taemin said. "But fear isn't bad if it comes with understanding. They're not afraid of what we are.